So now we're live. Hi guys. What up? I'm just gonna sit here. I'm gonna wait for a second. Hello. Te amo. Come on in. Come hang out. We're here. We relocated to Mama and Mark's place. All right. So I told you guys that I'll wait for a second, let people come in. We are going to watch the Mayor Garcetti speak. He spoke a bunch of hours ago. I missed it, but I want to make sure that everyone here who lives in LA is going to see it. Is there a way that we can put stickers up? How do we put stickers up? Share a photo or video with your viewers. Okay. No. Don't want to do that. How about stickers? How does this work? Hi, guys. Are there questions? Hi, I'm feeling good. How are you guys feeling? Comment. No, but how do I? Oh, I can post the comment. Okay. What's up, everyone? Watching Mayor Garcetti. What's up, everybody? Yeah. Update us on current state of COVID. So for those of you guys who are just joining, I promised that now I can pin this, right? Or am I crazy? Pin comment. Booyah! All right. So I promised you guys last night that I was gonna Instagram live Eric Garcetti speaking and talking, updating the people of Los Angeles about COVID-19. So we're gonna do that now. I haven't listened to it, so we're gonna be listening to it together. Mom and Mark are here too, and Blue. So we're all gonna be listening to it together. Okay, I'm gonna turn the camera around. I'm gonna press play. We're gonna do this. I love you guys. This is bootleg. I'm well aware. All right.
Good evening, Los Angeles. Thank you again for joining me on the daily briefing to update you on our fight against the novel coronavirus and our work to ensure the safety of our city, its residents, and the future of Los Angeles. I want to say at the outset, many of you who reached out say I don't live in the city of Los Angeles, and I want to assure you that the 88 mayors of every city in Los Angeles County are in regular contact, are enacting many of the same measures that I'm talking about for the city of Los Angeles, and I encourage you to talk to your local city hall, your local mayor and council members, to see day to day what is being done where you live if you're not in the city of Los Angeles. And let me also reiterate my thanks to the entire Board of Supervisors and our chairwoman of the Board of Supervisors, Catherine Barger, who's been an amazing co-leader as we go through these uncharted waters together. I remain confident that Los Angeles is strong, that all of us are resilient, that the goodness of our hearts continues to come out during this tough fight, and I want to make sure that I'm communicating as often as possible with the people of LA about our latest moves. I know these days have been very tough for all of us. Our usual rhythms have been disrupted. We feel that eerie feeling like the city feels half abandoned, and we're spending more time with each other than maybe we have with our families in a long time. I want to reassure you that folks that I've talked to in other parts of the country and the world, there's a pace that will settle in. This will seem less abnormal. And the weeks that we have ahead of us, we will be able to settle in not only to our routine, but getting through this together. So stay strong, look out for each other, be kind to each other as we go through these things today. I want to give a special shout out to those folks who are working on the front lines. And by that I mean, of course, first and foremost, our healthcare workers who are already taxed even at the beginning of this crisis, to those first responders, to our grocery clerks and truck drivers, warehouse workers, restaurant workers that are making sure that we are fed, and to some of those critical folks who are caring for our children and others in these tough times. You are truly the heroes of this fight and will continue to be, and we are here to support you in every way that we can. I also want to thank all of the government workers, the cities of Los Angeles County, our Los Angeles County and school district employees who themselves stepped up to serve the public and feel it now more than ever that service to the public is something in our hearts and in our hands. Many of you have volunteered for new jobs, are asking what you can do to help, and members of the public who serve in an unpaid capacity as volunteers, members of neighborhood councils and boards and commissions. We thank you as well for all that you are doing to step up above and beyond.
Woo!
If you have a chance to go out of your way to thank any of these frontline workers and government workers, please do. I know that they will appreciate it. But you don't have to be working in one of these jobs to feel like you are a frontline worker these days with this crisis. Everyone is feeling the stress of this moment, and I know we can each be here for each other. And we're working around the clock to ensure that you have the support that you need, the resources you need, and critical services will be maintained during this time. Last night I spoke to you about some of the new actions that the city of Los Angeles was taking to protect Angelenos against COVID-19. And I want to thank the county and other cities that also adopted these measures. In the city of LA, it was temporary closures of our city's bars and nightclubs, our gyms and entertainment venues, limiting our food establishments with no eating inside the establishments, but instead pickup, delivery, and drive-through, and a pause on residential evictions. None of these steps were taken lightly, but they are the right thing to do right now, even when sometimes it feels like the wrong moment. We have to save lives, and we have to save our way of life here in Los Angeles. City leaders across the county, as I mentioned, are in regular communication, so some of the things I'll announce tonight I know have also been considered and are being done in other cities as well. But let me tell you about the next set of swift and decisive actions meant to help everyone who is affected by this health crisis. Today, in the city of LA, I elevated the city's Emergency Operations Center to level 1. That's our highest level, and it will stay there for the indefinite future. This allows us to bring all of our resources together, to deputize all of our city workers to be able to do jobs that are not their traditional jobs, and to make sure that we can have the coordination that we require across city, county, school district, and other lines together. We're looking for ways to make life a little less stressful for you during this crisis. So to slow the spread of the virus, we know many people are staying home. They're working from home, they're caring for loved ones at home, or they themselves are sick. And more people at home means that there's more cars parked on our city streets. So tonight I am announcing some changes with parking enforcement that should make life a little easier for all of us. These will be in place for the next 2 weeks, and we will possibly extend beyond that. But effective immediately, the city will stop giving tickets during street sweeping in residential areas, and stop giving tickets for parents and caregivers who are picking up meals around closed schools. There will also be a moratorium on ticketing and towing for abandoned vehicles and oversized overnight parking and peak hour restrictions. During this time, we will also freeze parking fine increases for the next 60 days and extend all deadlines for payments until June 1st. People are feeling the financial pinch, and the small things we can do to help families we will enact. I want to be clear that not all parking enforcement in Los Angeles is stopping, but we will focus our enforcement in places that basic operations that prioritize our health and our safety. So for the duration of this emergency period, parking enforcement will focus on street sweeping around encampments, ensuring emergency access, keeping colored curbs clear, and repaving and slurry operations. So we want to continue to make sure that our public health needs that street sweeping does for us continue. Enforcement will also continue at metered spaces to encourage parking turnover at businesses that are relying now on many people coming to pick up food and for delivery services that can serve us food as well. And there will be an extended grace period for people dropping off or picking up groceries or other goods. Nobody should be penalized for being responsible. There's no need to worry about the financial cost of keeping your car at home while you practice safe social distancing and you help our city flatten the curve. Taken together, these temporary closures and restrictions announced last night will prevent large gatherings and strengthen our work to slow the spread of COVID-19. But I also want to reassure Angelenos about their public safety during this crisis. Crime is down this year, in the past week down even further. That said, Chief Moore and I had discussions, and Chief Moore has asked half of our detectives to go now and work on the streets of Los Angeles to help supplement our patrol officers. 50% of those detectives are now out on the streets and making sure that any challenges that arise in our neighborhoods at grocery stores or folks that want to make sure students and their children are safe when they're picking up the lunches that they need, that they will feel secure in this city, and our officers will be there to assist them. We know all Angelenos have had to make huge changes and sacrifices during this period. Those who are older, those who are younger, those who work, and those who go to school. Today was the first day that our LAUSD schools were closed. And a change in routine like this can be very confusing for both the children and parents. And it puts a strain on our families, our teachers, and our communities. And I want to thank all the LAUSD employees who have stepped up to volunteer to help. And I know the district will be announcing more about that tonight. But we're working to make sure the whole family is taken care of during this crisis. We understand that earlier today that we learned that LA clarified their plan around the 60 grab-and-go centers for meals to make sure children can continue to get the nutrition that they need during this crisis. And the district will clarify details on this in an announcement later tonight. But if you're looking for the closest place to feed your children, you can go right now to achieve.lausd.net, and those locations are now up and live. Schools are closed. Many workplaces are shut down for remote work or altogether. And in the last few days, we've heard from people across our city who worry deeply about how they will cope, what they will do without the sources of income upon which they rely each month. We hear you, we see you, and we are here for you. That's why last night, and I wanted to reiterate this today, we ordered a moratorium on evictions of residential tenants during this local emergency for people unable to pay rent as a result of this health crisis. I also want to reiterate and remind people that no water, power, or gas will be cut off for you during this period. No one will be evicted and rents can be deferred. There's been also a tremendous amount of disinformation. I think everybody listening knows what I'm talking about. If I got one text, I got 100 from friends saying that they knew somebody who absolutely was going to confirm that the entire country was about to go into a state of martial law, or that, again, the port was being closed down, the city was going to cease to function, etc. We will have to make decisions in days ahead, but we will never do those in a secret way. I will always talk to you about what's coming the next day and the day after that. Listen to our public health officials at the national and local and state levels to inform those decisions. So there will be no surprises. But I can certainly tell you, and I think many of you have checked this online, that those rumors about a national lockdown are not true today. And that's important for all of us to push back the misinformation, the fraud that many people are trying to exercise, financial fraud, testing fraud, and other things. As always, please check with official sources, lacity.org, lacounty.gov, of course, state website at ca.gov, and with our Centers for Disease Control. I want to also add a note on testing, and I thank the county, Supervisor Barger and Dr. Ferrer for their update today on the new cases and many elements of this. But this is a question that comes up a lot. Why can't I get a test? We can go through in future days, and you can certainly read plenty on why this nation was unprepared and did not have enough tests. And the heroic work that's being done here locally with private sector, with laboratories, led by LA County and our state and our governor to ensure that we have more tests, more testing labs, and more testing capability. That is arriving more every day and in the coming weeks. In the meantime, though, people are saying, I have symptoms, what should I do, and why can't I get a test? Those tests and the lab capacity to process them is being focused on three sets of individuals. First, our healthcare workers and first responders who are at greatest risk, and we need to be out there in the field to help us with this crisis. Second, those who are the most vulnerable, our seniors and those with pre-existing conditions. And third, people with severe symptoms. When you don't fit into one of those three, it's unlikely today that a test is available. So what should you do? The advice is clear. Stay home, self-isolate, and make sure you're not coming into contact with other people. If you have extreme symptoms, that's the time to visit a hospital. Stay in close touch with your doctor, and we hope there will be tests not only for those who are symptomatic, but asymptomatic, coming in greater numbers in the next couple days and certainly in the week ahead. On food distribution, I hope some of you joined us earlier today as I joined together with the heads of our grocery chains in a supply center. It was in Paramount, where we saw the actual evidence of all the food that is there, and to encourage people to not panic buy and not to hoard. That panic buying and hoarding comes at an expense. Those who need food are not getting it, and it is causing our workers that are out there in our grocery stores to be under higher risk than they should be. So please, buy food for a week, don't buy it for a month or even for multiple months. The food will continue to come, and we hope that you could see that today with your very own eyes as well. There is no need to stockpile. Water will continue to flow, as I mentioned. Toilet paper and paper towels will be replenished quickly, and in a matter of a few weeks, we're told that's when hand sanitizer and other things will be there. So do your best to share with one another in the meantime. I'll say it one last time, hoarding is hurting our community, and your behavior can cost someone their life. Finally, as we undertake efforts to slow the spread of this virus, I've heard from Angelenos who are eager to help, to do what we always do. Reach out a helping hand to neighbors and folks around. You don't have to wait for any official government instructions. Certainly check on seniors you know who live in your building or your neighborhood. See if you can help them get food if they're unable to go out or they are self-isolating. And look for those folks who are the most vulnerable. For people who are quarantined, check in with them. Call them on the phone. Look for ways that you can video conference, play a game virtually, or other things. Let's make sure that we don't have social isolation while we have geographic isolation from one another. And to answer the call that we have out there for folks who want to go further, I mentioned last night our LA COVID-19 Crisis Fund, which is out there to support families, healthcare workers, unhoused neighbors, and to build our capacity to respond to this crisis with real-time research. I encourage you again to give what you can, and you can go to this fund at coronavirus.lacity.org. That's coronavirus.lacity.org. We raised tens of thousands of dollars in the first day. We want to continue that money coming if you have the means to do that, and we will make sure that money gets to the people that need it most and for the effort that our frontline workers need for equipment and other things. We've seen the leadership of our philanthropic community and the generosity of our corporate giving. But it is time now to elevate our efforts, and that's why I've asked Matthew Johnson, our former president of our police commission, to serve as the chief of COVID-19 philanthropic and private sector community emergency response. Whether that's donations, whether it's technical assistance, or whether it's research, Matt will help us oversee this throughout Los Angeles, mobilizing our business community to lead a process that ensures our city's corporate and philanthropic giving is strategic, well-informed, and effective in slowing the spread of COVID-19. As individuals, as communities, as a city, everybody's doing their part. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for your courage in these tough days. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your loving of your fellow Angelenos during these tough days. We can and we will stop the spread of COVID-19 in Los Angeles. And while we have still challenging days ahead of us, I believe more than at the beginning of this crisis in the strength of this city, in our ability to come together and to help one another, and we are all first responders in this effort. So thank you for your work to save lives in this critical period. Maintain that distance, make the right decisions, reach out to those in need, and we will get through this stronger than ever before. With that, I'm going to turn to questions from the media that are going to come over speakerphone. We're trying to do best practices here at City Hall, and I'm happy to answer those questions, and then I'll be giving some remarks as well in Spanish. We'll take questions.
Thank you, sir. If you would like to ask a question, please signal by pressing *1 on your telephone keypad. And our first question comes from John Riccardi with the Los Angeles Magazine.
Hi, John.
Hello, Mayor. Regarding the closure of bars and restaurants and the restaurants doing takeout, et cetera, that you mentioned yesterday, are there any protocols for enforcement that is being followed? Essentially, who is being sure that what you've put in the emergency order is taking place?
It's a good question about the enforcement, and we have our LAPD officers, as I mentioned, half of our detective squads and others, supplementing our on-the-street presence. Our idea is not to take people to jail for violating these things, but to make sure people know what the order and what the law is. So we're asking Angelenos, if you see a bar that's open or a restaurant that's open, to please let us know, inform the city, and it's complaint-driven that we will then be able to go and ensure that those are indeed shut down. It isn't just on police, but of course our fire inspectors, DWP, who can literally cut off the water and power of a business if they are in violation of that. But we've had a great response so far, and we do not see, just anecdotally, so far anybody who's been violating that. Where we find those, we'll be happy to sit down with them, educate them, give them plenty of warning. We don't want this to be something where we bring down a heavy arm right away in a punitive way that lands people in jail. We just want people to do the right things and close those institutions.
Thank you, sir. Again, that is *1 to ask a question. Next, we have Matthew Blake with The Real Deal.
Hi.
Hi, Mayor Garcetti. I had a question regarding Governor Gavin Newsom yesterday proposed the idea of putting some of the homeless in hotels, which are already being under-occupied right now. I wanted to see what you thought of this idea and whether the city is doing anything on its own right now about possibly giving hotel subsidies or vouchers to put some of the city's thousands of homeless people in these hotels for the time being.
Absolutely, and thank you for the question. The city and the county of Los Angeles are already well practiced in this. We all the time give vouchers to folks to go into motels and hotels as they have even greater lower rates of occupancy during this crisis. We see tremendous opportunities and really welcome the state, who stepped up in a big way to help negotiate some of those, and we hope help fund some of them. We see a real opportunity to be able to have places where people can self-isolate if they have symptoms, if they're homeless. As many people have so articulately said, some people don't have a home to go home to. And so we're looking at that, as well as our rec centers, potentially our schools, and other places that will be able to take folks who exhibit those symptoms who don't have homes. So we are ramping that up. We have put dollars aside, and we have vouchers available right now. We hope that that can be elevated up even more rapidly. We see, in the city of Los Angeles, more than 30,000 homeless Angelenos, and in the county, nearly 60,000. So we need to make sure that we get as many of those as possible, and we welcome the state in helping us. It's a great idea. It builds on something we already do. And finally, where it's been tougher to master lease a motel in the past, we may see opportunities to take over the entire motel in some cases because occupancy is so low, help save that business, and do what's right for our homeless neighbors.
Thank you, sir. Again, that is *1 to ask a question. Next, we have Najee Ali with Wave Newspaper.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, sir, for your leadership. And the question for the Wave leadership is, the mayor of San Francisco, along with other mayors back east, have implemented a curfew in their respective cities. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you're considering for the city of Los Angeles at some point? And if so, what will be the determining factor, sir? Thank you.
Thank you. I know New Jersey has done that. I'm not considering a curfew in the city of Los Angeles at present. Nighttime, I don't see that as being a problem. This is not something in which we've had the breakdown of social mores or people, out there looting. That seems to be something that's an answer for a different sort of emergency. And it's less that people can't move at nighttime than where they were going that we needed to stop. And that's why we had to make the difficult decision with movie theaters, nightclubs, entertainment venues, our bars, and of course dining in, to shut those down both in the daytime and at nighttime. So at present, absolutely not. I would only consider that if there's some sort of threats to public safety, or if public health officials who have not given me any indications that that is something they recommend. We asked that point blank of our county Department of Public Health today, and they did not recommend that. So short of that, we will not be looking at that.
Great answer. This guy's amazing.
All right, thank you. Again, that is *1 to ask a question.
Wow.
Next, we have Francine Kuiper with the Christian Science Monitor.
Hi, Francine. Are you there, Francine?
Francine, make sure your line's not muted.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you. You're there.
Right. I'd like to ask whether some of the temporary measures that might be taken to house the homeless could somehow turn into a longer-term fix or add to the solution for dealing with LA's homeless problem?
Absolutely. I've said never let a crisis go to waste. And we've been begging Washington for more money. We've been negotiating with Sacramento, who stepped up with more, but we've asked for even more than that. And whatever resources we get in at this moment to deal with this coronavirus crisis, if we bring people indoors, my goal is if they get indoors, what can we do to keep them indoors? Put them in bridge housing, transitional housing, and permanent housing. So it's been tough. LAHSA, our Homeless Services Authority, is doing everything it can right now to identify folks and to reach out to people who are living on our streets to make sure they know what symptoms of COVID-19 are and that we can get them help. But as we have the potential of moving people, whether it's into hotels and motels, into rec centers and other places, as that funding comes forward, we would love to have an exit strategy. It's too early for that because it's a huge logistical undertaking to get them indoors first. But that would be my ideal, and my strong message to both Sacramento and Washington is let's not just plan for the next couple of weeks, let's plan for the next couple of years and see if this is one of the things that can help us turn the tide. We're housing almost double the number of people that we were each day as 4 years ago. 133 people in LA County a day are being housed out of homelessness, but 150 before this crisis were becoming homeless each day. If we could just change that by 18, we would be on our way down on homelessness. And this is a real opportunity. And that's why I'm very excited and very reassured that the governor is stepping up to take those state dollars potentially and help us in a more aggressive way based on the public health aspect. But that can help us long term because we know homelessness is a public health disaster, not just because of COVID-19, but because of so many other issues as well.
Woo! 18 people a day, that's it.
Thank you.
That's all we need.
Again, that is star one to ask a question. Next, we have David John Anger with Los Angeles Times.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you great. Go ahead.
Great. I was wanting to ask about the large number of city workers who are still going into work and whether there are any concerns about that conflicting with the social distancing policy. You know, many of the buildings that they go to work in, the only way to get to their office is in elevators, and if you've been in the elevators at City Hall and City Hall East and many of the other buildings like Figueroa Plaza, it's almost inevitable that the people are going to come within close contact. And I was wondering how that's being addressed.
Absolutely. Well, there's two levels of social distancing. It's the ongoing 10 minutes worth of being 6 feet or less that Dr. Frere and others say is really where the threat is. So it's not those momentary things that folks have. But that secondary level does have, while a lower, some threat. We will be putting out guidance tomorrow for our city employees, many of whom we've already looked at, who have needed to telecommute. And I think we're going to flip from what we have today, which is there are certain folks who have to care for family members, might feel sick themselves, and telecommute if it's possible, to something different, which will be telecommute unless you can't, or you're a critical city employee. That, I think, will address that. We'll have many more city employees that won't be in those city work environments, where we are practicing that spacing in their workplaces. I won't even have those momentary interactions as well. So we'll have guidance out on that tomorrow. I know that's something that the County of Los Angeles also put out some guidance on today. And we're making a list of who are the critical city employees. For instance, right now, we want to keep our economy going. We want to keep construction workers on work sites as soon as it stops raining. So we are looking at continuing to be able to issue permits, being able to do all of the land use responsibilities, and how we can best do that without having to do that at public counters. Today, those have been opened. Those are restricted under the regulations I put forward of no more than 50 people in a building at a time in those spaces. But tomorrow we'll go further and look at what additional steps we can do to allow folks to telecommute and to insist that they do unless they're non-critical.
Thank you, sir. Again, that is star one to ask a question. And next we have Sandra O'Neill with Telemundo 52.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Having this conference. I'm great. Thank you so much.
Of course.
We do want to ask about, I know yesterday you announced a moratorium on evictions, and I know you said later you will give more details on loans for small businesses.
Yes.
Is there any kind of resource, financial help for employees like cooks, waiters, those that work in like the smaller businesses or the family businesses that will either see hours cut or definitely lay off?
A few things. One, we're putting together and hope to have in the next day or two some information of where if people are laid off or need to pick up work, places that are hiring. When we were with the grocery stores and the grocery industry, for instance, this morning, they need more people. And it's perfect for somebody who's been a food handler, for instance, to be able to go and do that work right away. And so we're going to try to match, as we did after the financial crisis in 2008, through our city workforce centers, those folks who are displaced with those folks that need workers. Second, we hope that the Congress will pass soon the assistance for workers. If it mirrors some of the things we saw in 2008 and 2009, that will give us even more ability to directly give grants to workers who are displaced or who have shortened hours. Third, we are looking at ways that we can help employers directly, which helps employees. And let me tell you how. When we're able to give $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 bridge loan to a company or to a small business, they can use that to make their payroll, to continue paying their employees, even if some of them are home on sick leave under what we hope will be the new federal regulations. And then finally, I would say again, at coronavirus.lacity.org, we're accepting donations for that exact fund as well, to assist people, to give grants. We hope to get some of that money out as early as this week, but certainly by the beginning of next week. And together with the United Way, California Community Foundation, and others, to pool those resources to help workers now. So, of course, we're helping on the rent side with no evictions, helping on the utility side with making sure that water and power isn't cut off, but we hope to be able to have some cash assistance as well. One final note, the mayors of California have been pressing for state action in this area. One great idea from the mayor of Stockton, California, was folks who earned the earned income tax credit, which is a couple $1,000s from the state. Perhaps the state could double down and give that as cash relief during these tough times. We know those are already the poorest families that work, but are already probably going to be on the brink of that poverty and or homelessness. So those are 5 different ways that we'll look at that, but we hope to roll out the city program either at the end of this week or beginning of next.
Thank you, sir. That concludes today's questions. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you all again. I'm going to say a few things in Spanish.
You're going to say some things in Spanish, so stay in if you speak Spanish, and then we're going to talk for a second.
For our residents, they have this information as well. So to folks who are logging out, thank you again for tuning in. We'll be doing this each and every day, and we'll be bringing to this, with the proper, of course, social distancing, other mayors, some council leadership, supervisors, and others throughout the week, so that you can see and hear what some of them are doing. But we appreciate you, your strength, and your love during this time. So en español, yo quiero decir unas palabras. Esta es una sesión informativa diaria sobre nuestra lucha en Los Ángeles para frenar el brote del nuevo coronavirus. La ciudad está regalando la aplicación de los reglamentos de estacionamiento para la limpieza de calles en áreas residenciales y para estacionamiento cerca de las escuelas cerradas. Todos los plazos para pagar sus facturas se han extendido hasta el 1 de junio. Le he pedido a nuestro departamento de policía que ayude a apoyar a empresarios con cumplir con la orden de emergencia para los cierres y restricciones para empresas. Hoy también fue el primer día en que nuestras escuelas del Distrito Escolar Unificado de Los Ángeles fueron cerradas. Empezando el miércoles, el Distrito Escolar Unificado de Los Ángeles abrirá 60 centros en escuelas del distrito. Encuentra el centro más cerca a ti en la página achieve.laust.net. Muchos se preocupan de lo que harán para pagar la renta. Anoche ordené una moratoria sobre evicciones residenciales. Estoy trabajando con el Consejo Municipal para asegurar que las compañías pueden superar este momento. Finalmente, he oído de angelinos que quieren ayudar y hemos establecido el Fondo de Los Ángeles para la crisis de COVID-19. Les alento que den lo que pueden a este fondo a lamayorsfund.org/COVID-19. También hemos nombrado a Matt Johnson, el expresidente de la Comisión de Policía, para servir como nuestro jefe de respuesta de emergencia comunitaria del sector filantrópico y privado. Y unas palabras brevemente también de mi corazón. Yo quiero dar gracias a los trabajadores, especialmente los trabajadores médicos, los oficiales y bomberos, los trabajadores en nuestros warehouses, en los mercados, las personas que están trayéndonos nuestra comida, luchando contra este virus, y especialmente los trabajadores en gobierno. Estos son tiempos muy, muy difíciles, pero estamos y somos fuertes juntos. Y cada día yo puedo ver actos de amistad, actos de amor, y Los Ángeles continuará como una ciudad de mucho, mucho apoyo, ayuda y esperanza. Este es mi mensaje no solamente a la comunidad aquí en Los Ángeles, pero juntos nosotros ganaremos esta lucha. Y gracias por hacer tu parte. Thank you all so much, Los Angeles. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Continue to keep that social space and continue to do your part. Let us know where you see gaps and what we can do, and be kind to each other. Look out for one another. We will get through this together. Thank you and God bless you.
That was wild. Wow. So cool. Thanks everybody for tuning in and watching. Crazy times right now. World's in a gnarly place. But this is an opportunity to band together and help each other and love each other. And maybe you guys have noticed, maybe you haven't. I am in a different location, even though I said I was self-containing, and I am. I moved to my mom's place from my spot. And so we're here now. And we're going to be locked in here for a while. I don't really know how long. 1 week, 2 weeks, not leaving. And we have some more people joining us tomorrow as well, staying away, which kind of like resets the clock at 0 for us. But ultimately, the more people that are staying inside for an extended period of time, it's kind of like we're doing our individual part, or trying to at least, to actually curb the effects of COVID-19. Anyway, really, really glad that everybody watched this and that you guys got to tune into it. It makes me super happy. I miss talking to you guys. I don't talk to y'all anymore. I don't know why, man. I got to do this more. I know, I miss my hair too. I'm trying to grow it out, though. Yeah, I'm working on it. It will be longer eventually, but until then, I'm just going to be growing it out and waiting. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I love you all so much. We're going to figure out a lot more ways that I can connect with you. That's coming soon, I promise. But until then, sleep well, be safe. Let's get ahead of this thing. Love you guys.